What is going on, everybody? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Friday. Hope you all doing well. Hope you had a great week. So, a lot of stuff's happened the last couple of days, right? And got a lot of people feeling some kind of way. And we'll go over this. And then, instead of inundating people with bullcrap talking points, I'm going to give you a couple things of value. Okay. And I think you're going to find it interesting. And I encourage folks to tell me, whether they knew this stuff or not. Okay. The Dodgers signed, obviously, we know this. The Dodgers signed Kyle Tucker yesterday for $60 million per year for 4 years. The Mets signed Bo Bichette today, $42 million a year for 3 years. Okay. Tucker's got opt-outs after the second and third year. I'm not sure if any Bo has any opt-out. I don't think they do. I don't think he has deferrals either. But both of them are positioned to get back out on the free agent market at the age of 30 to cash in again. Yeah, NFV. All right. What is going on? Jonathan's in the building too. What we have here? What is this? Yes, thank you, Jonathan. Jazz Chisholm is going to be playing in a World Baseball Classic for Great Britain, for the UK. I guess he's got dual citizenship, I suppose. Good intel, Jonathan. Thank you. Always get this. See this. Let me tell you something. Right. This is why I only have certain people on with me sometimes, like Jonathan, NFE from the Strike Zone, Ken from Yankees Ugly Truth, and Hector, Uptown Sports, Ace when he's available, right? Because these guys do their homework, right? They know what they're talking about. They bring value to the conversation. And that, to me, is much more valuable than just regurgitating other people's talking points on Twitter or Discord, which generally is an extension of Twitter, right? So when people come here, I want them to learn something of value, learn something, okay? There's a reason why I put out stuff a week before the hot stove does. Anybody notice that? I talk about stuff before a week or even longer before the hot stove does. Okay. So Bo has an opt-out after 1 year. Okay. The Mets paying $5 million more. Okay, there you go. Some little kickers to Bo's deal. Good. Good. We can get players here, Tiffany, but who's worth paying that much money? Okay. Now, let's put this in perspective, okay? Because this is something I want to elaborate on. This is the leaderboard for WAR, right? Which is one of the most accurate indicators of impact to the game for players, right? We're going to go to this in order. Number 1, Aaron Judge. No surprise. Number 2, Shohei Ohtani. No surprise. Then 3, Cal Raleigh. This is 2025. 4, Bobby Witt Jr. 5, Geraldo Perdomo, who's an infielder from Diamondbacks. 6, Trey Turner. 7, Tarek Skubal. 8, Corbin Carroll, the first outfielder. Paul Skeens, number 9. Christopher Sanchez, 10. Jose Ramirez, 11. Francisco Lindor, 12. Fernando Tatis, 13. Juan Soto, 14. Garrett Crochet, 15. Julio Rodriguez from the Mariners, 16. Jeremy Pena, 17. Michael Garcia from the Royals, 18. Logan Webb from the Giants, 19. And I'm going to get to a point on this, okay? Pete Crow Armstrong from the Cubs, 20. Jesus Luzardo, 21. George Springer, 22. Byron Buxton, 23. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 24. Kyle Schwarber, 25. Cody Bellinger, 26. Nico Horner, 27. Max Fried, 28. Gunnar Henderson, 29. Matt Olson, 30. Okay, that's the top 30. Okay? Does anybody notice who I have not mentioned yet? In the top 30 for WAR. Does anybody knows who I have not mentioned? Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. Smack that like button. I haven't mentioned Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette. Thank you, Tiffany. Neither one of them is in the top 30, but Bellinger is. Okay? Now, the contract offer that the Yankees have on Cody Bellinger, for those that don't know, is 5 years right now with 2 opt-outs in it. It also is for 155 to 160 million, so it's between 31 and 32 million a year. There's also a significant signing bonus up front in case there's a lockout next year. What does that do? It shields him because that's not counted directly towards his income annually, so it wouldn't be subject to New York City taxes. So he would get a lot of upfront money at a lower tax rate with a signing bonus. Okay. They also don't have deferrals, so it's going to keep the AAV higher. So there's a lot of consolations here. There's a lot of concessions that the Yankees made to accommodate Cody Bellinger and Scott Boras. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, anybody's heard that, but these things are in there. Okay, Beagle, what's happening, man? Okay, these things, and again, if Cody Bellinger is still not happy, if Scott Boras is still not happy, now that we know the Mets are in it, let the Mets give him a 6-year or 7-year. I don't really care at this point. Okay. Yeah, the Yankees don't defer. Exactly, they don't do deferrals. Okay. If he leaves the Yankees, bye. And I'm happy to hear that the Yankees are not budging on their offer. Fact of the matter is, he doesn't have a better offer yet to bring back to the Yankees. Okay. Exactly, too. Another point I wanted to bring up. People keep blaming Trent Grisham being the reason the Yankees aren't spending. That isn't true. Okay. Who was going to be a better option than him in center field? 1 year of Trent Grisham does not hamstring the team like 5 years of Cody Bellinger would. So how has it stopped them from spending? Can anybody break that one down to me? Okay. Thank you. Eva Call, my man. So you think fans are just pissed not so much for the players that are not signing, but it makes it look like the Yankees are doing nothing. Well, the problem is, thank you for the super chat, David. I appreciate you. The problem is that some of these contracts, Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette, okay? Kyle Tucker, $60 million a year. And if you look at the Dodgers' financial summary, he's making more per year than Shohei Ohtani is because of the deferrals, right? And he's not even in the top 30 for WAR. And I'm going to elaborate on that in a minute, too. Okay? Bo Bichette, $42 million a year. Double his salary, right? Because who? The Mets owner is the richest individual owner in all of baseball. And he missed out on Kyle Tucker. And you need to bring in a right-handed bat there to make up for the offense that Pete Alonso left, right? So, no surprise there. But again, he did not go back to the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays didn't get Tucker either. So I would stop short of handing the Blue Jays the AL East crown yet. They also lost Chris Bassett, Max Scherzer, and a bunch of guys had career years last year. And they're going to have a lot of things have to go right in order for them to repeat in AL East. Just saying. Something to keep in mind. Okay, and the Yankees are not running it back with the same exact team. They will be adding to the team in the next couple of weeks. They're running quite a few folks right now. Now, I don't think that I don't agree with the Yankees if they went above 5 years for Cody Bellinger. Okay, he would be there. The offer that they have out to him right now would pay him as a top 5 of all time in history outfielder in salary, and he's not that. Neither is Kyle Tucker, who's being paid now as the number 1 of all time outfielder in terms of average annual salary, $60 million per year. Number 1 all time, right? He's not even in the top 30 for WAR. Neither is Bo. Just goes to show the salaries have gotten insane. Now, that doesn't mean because the Yankees can, that means the Yankees should. Okay, if there's a lockout and it's because of these salaries, the Yankees are not going to be the culprit that causes this to happen. Just something that keep that in mind, too. They're not the ones ballooning the salaries into the next stratosphere, right? I want people to keep this stuff in mind. Okay? Like I said, when people come here, I want them to learn something. Maybe learn something they haven't learned before. Okay? I don't do bullcrap talking points. Other channels can do that. Don't do it here. And like I said, if you guys in here, this is why I have people like Jonathan on, and Ken from Mlb Truth, and NFE from the Strike Zone, Hector, because they bring value to it. They do their homework. They're prepared. They know what they're talking about. Okay? And this is why when I do an open panel, I don't do it very often now because I'm not on live very often. But when I do, folks like Consigliere, right? Buckeye, those guys know what they're talking about too. So I got to give those guys a lot of credit as well. They bring maturity and knowledge to the conversation. That's the whole point of this channel, right? Not to sit here and have tantrums every day over crap. Yet channels today accusing people of thinking they know more than anybody else does. Yet these same people do the same thing all the time and call themselves the greatest thing since sliced bread. And people don't agree with them, they're not real fans. They talk down to people and all this type of stuff. It's almost like their egos have gotten in their way of their brains and their ability to think clearly. Right? Now, let's go elaborate on this Dodgers because a lot of people, are frustrated the Yankees aren't doing what the Dodgers are doing. Okay. And I've talked about the Dodgers' finances and so on and so forth, right? Swelled head syndrome. Thank you, Beagle. That's great. SHS. That's awesome. Bro, tell you what. Hold on. One second. Take a look at your message right now. NFE. Yeah, and they're not sitting on their hands, David. They're not. They're in on a lot of folks. But again, they're putting their best foot forward with their top target, who was Cody Bellinger. They can't do anything more at this point, right? They're not going to go over there and massage his nuts and Boris's nuts. Like, it's just getting ridiculous, right? Sonny Boy, it's called being perhaps pretentious and condescending. Triple crown for you. That too, Sonny Boy. That too. But it's amazing how people just accuse folks, of course, on X, right? Instead of going on screen and debating with the person live. They can't take being called out and being picked apart, right? The ego generally gets in the way of the intellect, unfortunately. So, or lack thereof, I should say. But now, I want to elaborate on this Dodgers situation. For those that don't know, I'm going to take a step back here. Okay? This is right from Dodgers financial disclosures, okay? Just to give you an understanding of how they are where they're at right now. The Los Angeles Dodgers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in June 2011. A baseball team filed for bankruptcy in 2011, for those that don't know. Driven by owner Frank McCourt's cash flow issues, right? And a rejected $3 billion TV deal by MLB. Okay? Consigliere, thank you so much for the super chat. I just gave you some love out there, man. Appreciate that. This is not Georgia's team. Salaries are insane. Everyone wants to bring players on, but they don't consider who needs to be removed from the 40-man trade. Great point, too. See, this is why. Hang on one sec. Trades have to make sense in the near future. If you didn't hear me, Consigliere, first of all, thank you for super chat. But I just gave you a shout out a little bit ago. I said whenever I do live streams, whenever I do an open panel, you and Buckeye bring a level of knowledge that other people don't bring, and I greatly appreciate that. And I pointed out you, Buckeye. I talked about NFE, Jonathan, Ken from Ugly Truth, right? We get a lot of information, knowledge. People do their homework. They come prepared. And I thank all of you for that. Okay? But now, let me get back to this. The Dodgers filed for bankruptcy in 2011. And this will give you an idea of the timeline. Okay, rejected $3 billion TV deal by MLB, leading to the team's sale to the Guggenheim partners, who own them now, for $2.5 billion in 2012. Subsequently, they secured a record $8.35 billion 25-year deal with Time Warner Cable, which is now Spectrum, in 2013 for Sportsnet LA, which is their TV deal, providing $334 million annually through 2039. So they have a decade more. This is in addition to the financial padding that they get from the Guggenheim partners, the TV deal. Okay, this is one of the things that makes it easy for them to sign these ridiculous contracts, defer money, and so on and so forth, and absorb the hits. Because the money there's not a team in baseball, not one, that has the same benefit that the Dodgers do, not one. And this is triggered by their bankruptcy filing in 2011. I don't even know if anybody knew they filed for bankruptcy in 2011. Okay, now I'll give you a little bit more insight. Here's some of the key details. The bankruptcy cause. Former owner Frank McCourt's and his divorce proceedings and financial strain was blocked by MLB Commissioner Bud Selig from a TV deal, prompting the bankruptcy filing to meet payroll. So they had to file bankruptcy in order to meet payroll obligations. Okay. The sale and recovery. They were sold to the Guggenheim Baseball Management for 2012 for $2.15 billion. The TV deal, the 25-year, $8.35 billion, brings them $334 million additionally to what they already have for Sportsnet LA that was formed in 2013. Revenue sharing, something we talk about a lot. Due to the bankruptcy settlement, only a portion of the rights fees, starting at approximately $84 million with 4% annual increases, is subject to the 34% MLB revenue sharing, allowing the team to retain a significant portion of the deal's value. They're not even paying the same revenue sharing levels that teams like the Yankees do. This is a special condition put forth by MLB. Okay? Did anybody know that? People can pound the Yankees all they want for being cheap. They don't have this luxury. And if this George Steinbrenner was here, George Steinbrenner had a shipping industry to finance the damn Yankees. He doesn't have that now. He sold that. Hal doesn't have it. Hal doesn't have a big giant conglomerate either, like Guggenheim. And they don't bring an additional $334 million a year in TV deal. They're also paying down. I've broken this down multiple times. They're still paying $100 million a year to pay down their stadium. Okay? So the Dodgers not only made a model of money that they brought back from Shohei Ohtani, they're not even absorbing the same levels of penalties that other teams do. Other spending teams do, like the Yankees and the Mets. The Mets had an operating loss last year. They lost money. Okay? They freaking lost money. Okay? So just keep this stuff in mind. Hal Steinbrenner and Cashman do not have the same arsenal that the Dodgers do to work with. They don't. Okay? They could be playing with AR-15s, but the Dodgers are working with bazookas. Bazookas, okay? According to the projections, Chocolate, the Yankees are scheduled to pay off the stadium by 2030, 2031. Now, I don't know if at that point that additional revenue is going to lead them to spend more on pay. I don't know. Because again, they have to pay the penalties at a higher rate all throughout the spending, higher rate than the Dodgers do. Because of this freaking TV deal and its bankruptcy filing. They had a favorable ruling. I don't know what the hell they did, but they got it. Okay? Well, Hal's a billionaire, but Cashman is not. Yeah, well, we're definitely. I know I'm not. So a lot of folks didn't know about that. And this is why I talk about this stuff. Right? People come after me all the time saying, "Oh, I think I know more than everybody else," but I don't know more than everybody else. I do my homework. I'm prepared. Okay? I put stuff out before almost everybody does. It's for a reason. Because I'm prepared. I also treat people like they're human beings. So sometimes I get inside information before everybody else does. The way you treat people goes a long way. Right? But again, this is why I'm grateful for the people that come on here. This is why I give Jonathan a lot of love. And Ken and NFE and the Consigliere and the Buckeye. Right? Hang on, NFE. Sorry about that, brother. Let me do it again. 1 second. I'm sorry about that, bro. Let's see if you get this one. And this is the type of stuff. And again, if people didn't know about this, can't blame them. Like, oh crap, hang on. I don't know if that one went through either. Let me see. This one probably went through, bro. Let me know. Let me know if you get that one. I sent it again. And oh, I got another super chat. Thank you so much, David. Man, I appreciate the I really appreciate your generosity, folks. I really do. And I don't go in here asking people for super chats, and I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate the time you give me when you come on here. That's why I want to make sure you get good content when you come here. It's worth your time, right? Yankees should do what the New York Giants did: sell 10% of the team to a billionaire like the Giants did. Extra, yeah. I mean, I don't know if they would ever do that because they have partners that everybody would need to be on the same page. How's them running them? And they have partners that they have to answer to. They have to divvy up the profits. So I know that is who they have, the Maras, right? So if Spencer Jones comes up here and I think he could do 20, 20, 20. 20 home runs, 20 doubles, 20 steals. I definitely think he can come on here. And I got my guy NFE from the Strike Zone in the building right now. What's up, brother?
What's going on? What's up, Jason? It's been a while.
Appreciate you coming on, man.
No, I appreciate you having me, man. It's been a while since we jumped on together. I know you and I talked quite a bit offline, so I was just like, man, Jason and I, we haven't gone live together in a long, long time. So
Yeah,
we were
man.
to do.
It's good to have, like I said, like I don't know if you heard, I appreciate having guys like you and Jonathan and Ken from Mlb Truth because you guys bring a lot to the table, man. A sensible conversation. We make sure that people understand what we're talking about. We do our homework, right? And we don't just sit here and spit other people's talking points from social media. We go, it's important to us that people know. This is why I'm talking about this bankruptcy filing. I don't know if anybody knew about this, right? This is what led to the Dodgers getting to where they're at. No. And like you and I have been talking a lot about, there's people that are dumping all over the Yankees right now for being cheap and not spending. David, again, appreciate the super chat, brother. You know what's crazy? The woman who bought the 10% is worth more than the rich people, man. They have stuff that we don't have, man. They got money to burn. Like Steve Cohen from the Mets, he's probably wiping his butt with $1,000 bills for all we know. He's the richest individual owner in all of baseball, right? I mean, what's your take on what I'm talking about here, NFE? Give us some insight here, bro. I always appreciate insight from people.
Where would you like me to start? Because I know you talked about quite a few things.
Say whatever you want to say. Like, we've been talking about a lot. A lot of people are dumping on the Yankees, right, for not overpaying for Tucker, for not overpaying for Bo. And I don't know if you heard this, but I went over the top 30 ranking for WAR, and neither one of them was in it. Bo or Tucker.
Not one. Yeah, it's just funny that
Jonathan joining us, by the way. Jonathan, how you doing, my man?
Good.
So NFE's just and you can go after NFE, but I was just saying, Bo and Kyle Tucker, neither one of them is in the top 4, not top 30 WAR, but now they're being paid like top 5 people of all time, right? What's your take, NFE? I mean, give me. Just goes to show that the salaries are insane now. The market's insane.
Yeah, it's just hilarious, man. It seems to be the trend now. I think it seems like teams are trying to go shorter years, higher AAV. But the thing is, neither Kyle Tucker's not worth $60 million. I'm not even trying to compare him to Judge or Soto. I'm just talking. I'm taking those two guys out of the equation. I'm just saying, Kyle Tucker is not worth $60 million a season. And Bo Bichette is not worth $42 million. You're going to tell me these guys are worth that much money? I mean, I'm not hating on them getting the money. Like, great for them. Like, they were able to make it happen. But if you look at the numbers, especially for Kyle Tucker, does anything about Kyle Tucker's numbers scream 60 million AAV?
No.
I don't think so. He better. I mean, with those numbers, you better be batting 400 every single year. Your home runs should be at the very top. You should be beating Judge and Ohtani every year for home runs. Your RBIs, you better be at the top. Your OPS, you should be well over Aaron Judge, right? That OPS number should be way over. On base percentage should be way over. Um, Slugging should be way over. $60 million. He doesn't deserve 60 million, man. It's like, yeah, I know fans were like losing their minds about, well, the Yankees aren't spending money, but it's like, look at how much money these people are getting.
Steals.
And what up, Steels? But it's like these players don't deserve the money that they're getting. Hence the reason why the Yankees are not signing these players, because it's a ridiculous amount.
I'll ask you this question too. I'll ask you both this. Does this $60 million a year change Tucker's stats at all? Does it make this Tucker stats better?
No.
Does it make Bellinger's stats better?
No.
So why would we go above $30 million for Bellinger when it's the only that he has?
I think $30 million is a bit of an overpay for Bellinger as it is.
He's being paid like a top 5 outfielder of all time.
I think the Yankees probably gave Bellinger his best offer, and it wouldn't surprise me if Boris is the one that's holding up Bellinger's contract.
He's trying to get that 7th year, and now that he said the Mets were willing to pay for Bo, and they left money on the table, maybe he's trying to get them to reroute some of that to Cody Bellinger, give him the 6 or 7 years. And let's just say if he goes to the Mets, let him. Like I said earlier, I mean, I would not be upset if they pivoted to got Nico Hoerner and Brendan Donovan. I'll take that.
As I told you before, I would have given Bellinger a hard deadline I'll give him a new deadline. By the end of this weekend, if he doesn't sign with the Yankees, I would just move on.
Pull the offer. Right?
Pull the offer. You have to. The Yankees season will be more than one player, just like it's more than. I know you want to have the best team, but you cannot let the decision of one person delay your entire offseason.
And let me ask you guys this: I mean, what did the Yankees do when Juan Soto signed with the Mets?
Pivoted quickly.
They addressed like 4 positions, right?
Yeah, they got the pitcher
Fried, Bellinger. They got Goldschmidt, Fernando Cruz, Devin Williams. They loaded up in a bunch of areas.
And that's what they should do now.
Pivot and address a bunch of holes.
The difference with this offseason and as far as players that are available and that could potentially be available, it's not that strong when you think about it. It's pretty weak.
I personally, and you guys let me know if you agree, but like, I think they would have to choose between trading for Freddie Peralta or trading for Nico Hoerner, because a lot of the same players would be involved in the trade.
Probably. I would agree with that.
And like the Cubs are looking for starting pitching, right? So the Cardinals, we have a lot of that. Could you get Hoerner and Donovan and then just sign Chris Bassett in free agency?
Well, why would you need Hoerner and Donovan?
Well, Donovan, you can play in the left field. He plays the outfield.
Yes, Hoerner is the infielder.
Yeah.
Well, here's another question. If you get Hoerner, do you see Volpe as a possible trade piece?
I don't know if he's a trade piece, but if you get Hoerner, I think to me that tells me that he's not going to be handed his job back. He's going to have to beat him out.
Yeah, because if you have Hoerner on this team, where do you play? What need do you have for Volpe?
Well, exactly, and again, he's going into his arbitration year, so he doesn't have any trade value. He's also a non-tender candidate. They can just non-tender him and walk away and not have to pay him anything.
Well, for the record too, I think the Yankees made their message known when in this past year's draft. So Volpe's future could be on the line.
Yep,
and
it's
that's
clearly
exactly
on the line.
What I mentioned to you, Jason, when we talked about this. You watched the draft. They drafted a lot of infielders, and I think that was, if I remember correctly, they drafted 8 shortstops.
Something like that.
I think that was the sign, the beginning, that they're ready to move past Volpe. It might not be this year, but after this year, for example, you're going to have Lombard potentially ready. So Volpe time, I think, is limited unless he can improve on what he's been doing the last 3 years.
Yep.
He hasn't done. his best year was his rookie year, and every year has been down.
A regression.
Yes.
And like, let's just say they traded for a guy like Horner and he played well, and they didn't want to bring back Jazz Chisholm. Let's just say, you could sign Horner to a multi-year deal and put him at second base and place the Jazz, and then George Lombard at shortstop.
Yeah, and that's another good point. Jazz Chisholm is only have one more year.
Yeah, and I would not replace Jazz with Horner. I want to add Horner to Jazz. We need to add some right-handed pop, right-handed contact hitting. That's exactly what he does. He also plays third base. So if at some point if Dax Kilby becomes ready, you have maneuverability there, right? So to me, and you got Caballero too. You have a lot of versatility here, and he also plays outfield. Caballero.
And the Yankees also just signed another catcher.
They signed so far. Was it 4 internationally so far? 4?
It may be more. I just say this guy Juan David Martinez has officially signed with the Yankees. So
they just signed the pitcher too. You sent me, right?
They signed the pitcher, and this is the catcher from 6 minutes ago now.
So the Yankees are probably almost 10 international prospects now. I don't think any of them are in the top 50, but that doesn't really matter.
No, they're not signing any of the top 50. The top 50 prospects, I think I believe you reported this, or at least we talked about this. The strategy this year was not sign any of the big names, which is the top 50, and go spread all the money out with the bottom 51 and below.
A lot of catchers, some pitchers, and this gives them time to do what? Revitalize the scouting department, because they still haven't solidified the people at the top.
Yeah,
they need the right people here.
And also remember, they traded probably 12 prospects along with 6 catching prospects last year.
Yeah, they traded away like 8 catchers in the last 3 years.
Yeah, so
they've got to recoup as much as they possibly can. I want to ask you guys this. This is a question from Manuel. Do you think the Yankees should forget Bellinger and trade for a righty hitting outfielder like Byron Buxton?
Maybe not Buxton, but a righty hitting outfielder, I would not be opposed.
Does he get hurt a lot, Buxton?
I'm not sure.
He's a good hitter, but I think he gets hurt a lot. But
is he even available?
That I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he's available anyway.
I know Teoscar Hernandez is now available from the Dodgers, but
the Dodgers.
I would personally rather get Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
Or sign Austin Hayes. And
Austin Hayes, I think Austin Hayes you can get on a very cheap deal, maybe a 1 or 2 year deal.
And you platoon him with Spencer Jones, and you get Spencer Jones an opportunity to ease in to the majors.
I think Hayes is the best option as of now.
What would you do, NFE, if you had your GM hat on? What'd you do for left field if it wasn't Bellinger?
I mean, who's out there, right? I mean, if there's not really a lot of options when you think about it.
Hayes, or you have a trade.
Yeah, you got Teoscar Hernandez and the guy Brenton Jones, who I profiled a couple months ago from the Rockies. Beyond him, I don't know.
You might as well. You know what, man? Maybe, and I might be crazy for saying this, but why not just have Dominguez and Jones battle it out?
You could do that.
Screw it.
Maybe.
You could do that. And again,
realistically, I would want to get Brandon Donovan, but
again, you also have Harrison Bader as an option if you want to give him a chance.
Too many injuries to Harrison Bader for me.
Pass on Bader. Nope.
I like him, but he's hurt too much. Some folks want Teoscar. It's Donovan. I love. I mean, you guys know that Austin Hayes kills lefties, so we need. That's what Nico Horner hits. Nico Horner hits 370 versus lefties. 370, which is
what would a Nico Horner trade look like?
It would probably cost, if I had to guess, either Will Warren or Luis Hill. I would offer them Oswaldo Cabrera too.
Do you think they would even take him because he came back from injury? They might want more than that.
I don't know. I mean, I would give him Warren, and then I would give him somebody like Bryce Cunningham. That might goose the package a little bit. I don't want to give Ben Hess or Elmer Rodriguez and those guys for 1 year of Nico Horner. I don't want to do that.
I think Elmer Rodriguez will be the first pitcher out if a big guy goes down. I think he's the first name up.
Yeah, this is another one too. Jake Myers, thank you, Ken, from Ugly Truth too. Ken, I don't know if you heard, but I had to give you guys a lot of love earlier because this is Fanafy and Jonathan. I appreciate the three of you guys because you always bring a lot of knowledge and insight to the channel, to your not only this channel but yours as well, and to the conversations. That's why you three are my go-to guys to talk to.
Yeah.
I always learn something from you guys. And it's always the goal is to always improve the knowledge base of people who come here. So I thank you guys for that. I thank you too, Ken.
Ken wants Verdugo back.
Yeah, he might be breaking balls there though. I don't know. Did Verdugo even play this year?
I think he was on the Braves.
I think Ken's breaking some balls there. He's doing some gooch in there. I don't know. What would you do if you had your GM hat on, Jonathan? What would you do?
What would I do with my GM hat?
If it wasn't Bellinger, obviously.
Oh, if I wasn't Bellinger, I mean, I would love to give Dominguez a chance, but if I'm dead set on not giving Dominguez a chance, I am exploring a trade involving Dominguez because I think Dominguez. This is Dominguez last year to show me if he has a major league quality.
Kind of like him and Volpe.
Yeah, him and Volpe, and I think, and I don't want the Yankees to to baby prospects or to favor prospects by too much. If a prospect is called up, give him a month. If he can't hit it, if he can't play well after a month, I'm sending him down.
Yep.
I'm not doing what they did with Volpe, seeing if they can figure it out in the major leagues. The major leagues is not spring training for a year.
True.
Prospect hugging. I would be I'm all for trading for a new. If I'm making a trade I'm trading Dominguez in a package, and I'm getting something that can help us.
I want to get a reliever with controllable years, right? Like Jeremiah Estrada from the Padres or something like that with like 4 controllable years. If I can get them, I would give them JC Escara too. They need catching depth as well. And I agree, steals trades are a must. And you know what's crazy? Why Dominguez is 22 because you have Spencer Jones there, and Spencer Jones has a higher ceiling in a lot of areas. And Spencer Jones has one characteristic that Cody Bellinger has that Dominguez does not. He plays both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Right? So that's one advantage he has over Dominguez. But Jones is only 24. People keep saying he's almost 30. He'll be 30 in 6 years. So, but I agree, steals trades are a must. And you know what's crazy? Like, people accuse the Yankees of prospect hugging. They've traded away like 20 of their prospects in the last 3 years.
And look, there was one guy in the chat that accused me of prospect hugging. I'm not prospect hugging. I'm all for trading prospects for great players. I'm one of the people that we talked about last year. I would have traded Spencer Jones at the deadline for Paul Skeens.
Yeah, well, they offered Jones and Lombard for Skeens, and the Pirates.
Well, I would have offered Jones, Lombard, and Cunningham for Skeens.
If that would have gotten him, I would have drove those 3 guys to Pittsburgh myself. No.
So I'm always for making the team better. If you can use your prospects to improve your team, then I'm all for it. But I hate dumb trades.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of that, I mean, what's your position on this, NFA? Like, prospects, What do you think? Is it better to go at some of our prospects now? Do you think any of our prospects justify getting an opportunity like Ken said, a Jones Hayes platoon? Would you be okay with an Austin Hayes and a Spencer Jones platoon in left field?
I'm not going to complain about that. I mean, I think the Yankees have the right amount of pieces that the right guys to give a chance to. You know what I mean? I don't see why not. Just because there's you look at the top five of the Yankee prospects, man. There's a lot of potential there, and
Thank you, Consigliere, by the way. Sorry about that.
yeah, you're good. You're good. And as far as the prospect hugging, I mean, I see David Cohen's comment. They just traded away 4 of their prospects to get David Weathers, and to kind of
thank you, McMahon, too. Thank you. Appreciate you as well.
Yeah. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, man. I just wanted to point out too. I think the Yankees, like from all the way back to the deadline, they traded away like 16 of their prospects. I think.
Yeah, we were talking about that in August. Yeah,
Coach Carl. Jonathan's big time. Big time. That's why.
Thank you. This is my space that StreamYard provides me.
Well, go ahead, Jonathan. Sorry, I had to put out that by Coach Carl.
Yeah,
my favorite track coach in the world, right there.
Yeah, we Yankees made a lot of trades at the deadline, a lot of prospects, and especially their catching depth. I think we traded 6 catchers in 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, they traded one of the catchers to the Rockies for Jake Bird. I forgot who it was. They sent one to the Pirates. Bednar.
Bednar. The catcher for Bednar is the one that I really didn't want to trade.
I forgot who it was.
It was the guy who was ready to be called up.
Yeah, what the hell was his name? They also sent one to the Red Sox, but they got Emil Rodriguez back.
Yes.
Was his name Rafael Flores, I think?
Flores is the one we traded for Bednar.
That's right.
Yeah, he was the next catcher who would have been. He probably would have replaced Dawson Wells.
Yeah, here's another valuable point too from Ken. Like, if you want to build a sustainable dynasty, it starts by building a core of players from the farm. Jones, Rodriguez, LaGrange, possible Hess and Lombard Jr. figure out. And guess who else is from the farm? Volpe, Austin Wells, right?
Dominguez,
and Rice,
Judge,
all from the farm. Now, let's just riddle me this, right? Let's pull up the Dodgers roster. How many of those guys are from the farm versus signed as mercenaries in free agency from all the teams?
Well, are you including the Japanese players?
Well, they're all free agents. None of those guys are from the farm, right? None of them. So, but we'll go over everybody.
Well, let me look at the roster for the Dodgers.
Their roster right here, 2026 roster. I'm going to pull it up. Okay. Active roster: Anthony Banda, Ben Kasparius. These are pitchers. Edwin Diaz, free agent. Jack Dreyer, Paul Gervasi, Tyler Glasnow, import. Bristow Gratterall, farm. Edgardo Henriquez, I'm not sure. Kyle Hurt, I'm not sure. Will Klein, Brandon Knack, Roman Kopp, Bobby Miller, farm. River Ryan, I don't know. Roki Sasaki, Japan.
Henriquez was a farm. Henriquez was a farm.
Who's that?
The guy Henriquez you mentioned, he was from their farm.
Got it. Roki Sasaki, Japan. Tanner Scott, import. Ernest Sheehan, I think, farm. Emmett Sheehan. Blake Snell, import. Brock Stewart. Gavin Stone, farm. Blake Treenan, import. Alex Vesia. Justin Robleski. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Japan. Shohei Ohtani, Japan. Dalton Rushing, catcher. Will Smith, catcher. I think he's from the farm. Mookie Betts, import. Tommy Edman, import. Alex Freeman, Freddie Freeman, import. Andy Ibanez, import. Hai-Sung Kim, Korea. Max Muncy, import. Miguel Rojas, import. Right? Almost the entire infield is imported.
Yeah.
Outfield.
Both catchers are fond.
Yeah. Outfield. Teoscar Hernandez, import. Andy Pages. I think he's an import. Michael Ciani, I'm not sure. Ryan Ward, not sure. Now it's call. So
Paez is a farm.
the majority of their productive players are imports. Not from
Yeah.
the field.
The center fielder Andy Paez is a farm guy.
He's a foreign guy. Okay. But thank you, Ken. This is a good point. It's a good distinction between the two teams, right? It is a good distinction. Yeah, Otani from Japan. He's from the Angels. Yep. Import. So how's baseball going to? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I heard something today that the players, somebody from the players union said today that it's not the players who are going to cause the lockout. It's going to be the owners. But that's just posturing, I think.
It was Ian Happ that said that.
Happ, right? Yeah, from the Cubs. So I don't know if he's a member of the players union. He probably is. So, but I'm not surprised that these guys are posturing and blaming each other already. But I mean, and if you what do you think things need to be addressed to hopefully prevent the lockout? What needs to happen?
I mean, I think inevitably a lockout is gonna happen.
I agree.
Whether or not we like it, I think the inevitable is gonna happen. It's just there's gonna be a lot of owners that are gonna want a salary cap, right? But I don't think I don't think players are gonna agree with it, really. I mean, and I also think there's going to be a conversation about deferrals. I think there's going to be a big conversation about deferrals. They might make it to where, they're going to maybe limit the number of players that are allowed deferrals. Like a team is allowed, let's say, 5 or 6 players can be on deferrals. The whole entire team can't be on deferrals. You know what I mean? There might be some rule on that because Major League Baseball's got to be losing. I don't know if they're losing money doing that. I'm not the most knowledgeable on that. You probably know better than I do, Jason, or Jonathan. But they're going to definitely be in a conversation about a salary cap and a salary floor. But again, I think it's going to be very hard to implement a salary cap. I really do.
I agree. But there was one other thing I was thinking about, and I believe I mentioned it to you, Jason. Would any of you be in favor of having not almost similar to a supermax contract, but with years? Let's just say any free agent, but you cannot offer above a certain amount of years, not money, but just years, like
basketball, like 5 years, but it can be ungodly amount. I'm fine with that because I think the longer contract.
So in baseball, let's say everybody in baseball cannot be given more than a 7-year deal at any time. You can still have opt-outs. You can still do everything you can do now, but the max contract is 7 years.
Which goes right into this comment here. MLB's not losing money. Just out of curiosity, how is he crying poverty when the next contract he signs is going to put him at like $325 million? Just a question. I would love to see if anybody can answer that. Anybody? You signed Bellinger at 330, like that. How is that poverty?
Well, the Yankees have also a lot of money. They're not. I don't agree with crying poverty. I just think
Well, here's a comparison. I want to show you. I'm going to read this out to you guys and read this to everybody in the chat. Okay, on one side, you have a guy with 19 home runs and 72 RBIs. That's player A. Player B, 22 home runs, 73 RBIs. So he's got 3 more home runs and 1 more RBI. Player A makes $3 million a year. Player B makes $60 million a year. Anthony Volpe versus Kyle Tucker. Those are the stats. 3 million versus 60 million. So if a team is going to contribute to this lockout, it's not going to be the Yankees. Anybody have anything? on that? Look at the stats. I just pulled this right from the stat profile. You can look it up. Kyle Tucker's making $60 million on those stats. Anthony Volpe's making $3 million on those stats. And yes, Anthony had a down year. Yes, there's no denying that. But how in good conscience can you give Kyle Tucker 20 times what Volpe made? 20.
Well, as I said, I think this offseason, the recent contracts that have been given shows a Supermax type contracts for shorter years might be the way to go in the future.
Yep.
Those type of Supermax contracts, as I said, I would see a Supermax contract that doesn't with a 7-year maximum.
WAR. I'm glad you brought up WAR, Steve. Kyle Tucker stands to be number 2 all time in baseball history in terms of AAV, $60 million per year. Number 2 all time. You know where he ranks in WAR? 36.
I think Judge has a better WAR than him.
Judges won every year. Number 1. Shohei Ohtani's number 2. Kyle Tucker's 36. You know where Cody Bellinger is? 26. 10 spots ahead of Kyle Tucker.
Actually, and also I do want to bring this up because I got Kyle Tucker's WAR numbers from 2026. So let's start from 2021. So 21, 5.3, 22, 5.5, 23, 5.5, 24, 4.7, 25, 4.6.
So consistent 5.
So there was a dip there from 23 to 24.
Mm-hmm. Consistent 4 to 5. Now,
yeah.
Aaron Judge, 10. Shohei Ohtani, 7.5. Who else we got here? No, excuse me, 9.4. Cal Raleigh, 9.1. Bobby Witt, 8. Geraldo Perdomo, who's an infielder from the Diamondbacks, 7.1. Trey Turner, 6.7. Cody Bellinger, who's 26, 4.9. Nico Horner, 4.8. Max Free, 4.8. All those guys are ranked above Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, this year, he had 4.5. Number 36. Bo Bichette is making $42 million a year. He's number 56 in WAR. 3.8. $42 million a year. I understand, William, but when we see, and this is what and I'm not going to, because we say sometimes, Trent Grisham got hurt last year. It affected his productivity. People tell us we're making excuses. But people are making excuses for Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Aaron Judge missed 60 games in 23. He had a WAR of 4.6. Well, that WAR could have been a 9 or a 10, but he got hurt. But then again, if we say players got hurt, it's an excuse. But if other players from other teams get hurt, it's okay. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, William, but it's just, it has to be both ways.
And you're right, William. Tucker was a huge overpay. Yeah, huge overpay.
And remember, Judge was also on pace for 60 home runs for the year he got hurt.
Yeah. The Dodgers also are taking advantage of a system that was created for them by MLB. They're exploiting it.
Yeah.
Okay, and for those that weren't here in the beginning, I broke this down. I'm going to sum it up really quickly for those that didn't hear. Okay, this is what led to the Dodgers having the financial situation they're at right now. Okay? In 2011, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, for those that don't know, okay, because of the owner, Frank McCourt's cash crunch due to his divorce, okay, and that rejected also a $3 billion Fox TV deal by the MLB Commissioner Bud Selig at the time, and that led to the sale to the Dodgers to the Guggenheim Group, which owns them now, in 2012. They bought them for $2.15 billion. This is right from their financial disclosure, okay? In 2013, The new ownership, Guggenheim Group, secured a record-breaking 25-year, $8.5 billion TV deal with Time Warner Cable, okay, which still brings them to this day $334 million in revenue on top of what the Guggenheim Group provides for them. And that's going to be that way until 2039. They're the only team in baseball that has that financial cushion because of this TV deal. It's not any other team, not even the Yankees. So they're playing in a completely different stratosphere than anything, and it's not even close. Okay?
Well, that's probably why the Yankees have tried to partner with Star Insurance and others to get additional revenue just for a patch on their chest.
$25 million a year.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, what are they doing? They use it. They use it to either get players here or help pay down their stadium. They paid $100 million a year until 2030.
I mean, the other thing the Yankees could do, and this will never happen, is have a naming rights for the stadium.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
They will never do it, but that's something that they could do. Would you be against that if they did it?
Personally, I would.
You would?
I can't. I can't call it Chick-fil-A Stadium or whatever. I can't do that.
Yeah, because we remember this is not the original Yankee Stadium. If they did it to the old Yankee Stadium, I might have a problem with this. But this Yankee Stadium, I'm less of a it's not as significant as if they did it with the old Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true. Again, I don't know, Nifty. How do you feel about that? I can't name anything but Yankee Stadium. I wouldn't feel right.
I mean, unless Hal sells the team, which is a lot of people's dream, then sure, you might see the name of you might see the change on it for the stadium, but I hope it never changes. It shouldn't change.
That would be stomping on George's memory. It's the old stadium is no longer exists.
True. It's a new stadium.
It was George's dream to build this stadium. So, I mean, the biggest problem I have with the current Yankee Stadium is the noise in the stadium. It's too. Whenever I've been to a game in this stadium, and especially compared to the old stadium, they fill the background with the sound too much. It's not. I much rather hear the sound of the fans and the game.
The old stadium was louder. The old stadium was louder.
Yes, but this.
I just sent you guys the information the bankruptcy filing. Just so you guys.
Yeah, I remember the bankruptcy with the Dodgers back in 2011 when that was announced. I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a second, the Dodgers just filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah, I don't remember
believe that, man.
I remember that. I wasn't paying attention to what happened at the time. I was paying attention more of the Yankees and the Dodgers and the rest of baseball. But I've been following, when it returned to prospects, I've been following the draft ever since 2006. So I didn't follow many other teams besides the Yankees until much later.
Well, it's crazy too because speaking of the kids, like the Yankees, the last great Yankee team was driven by a lot of the guys in the core 5 or core 6, right?
Yeah.
I like to add Bernie Williams and even Paul O'Neill to that, so I call it the core 6.
Yeah.
I'm adding Bernie.
Yeah.
Well,
Bernie, exactly. So
well, if you really want to get into the details, the one thing that made the beginning of all this was the Paul O'Neill trade in 1993. The Paul O'Neill trade was the first move, and maybe the Jimmy Key signing Jimmy Key and Paul O'Neill. Those were the two guys that began the '96 run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember, and I don't know if you, yes, you would know. At the time they signed Jimmy Key, they had, I think they had wanted to sign Greg Maddux at the same time, and I believe you're the one who may have mentioned this months ago. They had a deal, and the Yankees never showed up to sign the deal with Greg Maddux.
He took less money to go to the Braves.
Yeah. So then instead of Greg Maddux, they signed Jimmy Key.
Yep.
So imagine if you had Greg Maddux on that '96 team and '98 team.
Instead of being on the Braves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is true. Yeah, I mean, Yankees having to split profits. They have partners that they have to split their profits with, right? So the Dodgers are owned by the Guggenheim Group, which is a $500 billion conglomerate, right? So and again, the $300 billion in assets, and that's not including the $334 million additional that the Dodgers have coming in because of the TV deal secured by Guggenheim Group. Just think about the layers of money that the Dodgers have that no other team in baseball has, including the Yankees.
Well,
crazy.
That's another reason why the Yankees moved to all these streaming networks instead of. You don't see them on Channel 9 or Channel 5 anymore. You see them on Apple and Amazon.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys want to answer this, but I don't know if I see the Yankees making a big move. I see them making a couple smart moves.
I don't see another big move. I see small moves, possibly. But I'm hoping that the Yankees use their farm when they need to, call up the players. And if the Yankees are really serious about the payroll, they will use and develop the young players and call them. That's one thing that a guy like Dylan Lewis, I know he's a prospect, but I thought he could have been a good player for years to come. But
yep. What do you think, Effie?
On what? The Steels' comment?
Yeah.
That there needs to be a cap. I mean, the cap would make things more competitive, no doubt.
Level the playing field. I mean, the cap leveled the playing field in the NFL.
But they also need to make they need to force teams to spend money too.
Yeah, that's why I think they need a floor more than a cap, because the cap limits the teams that spend money already. A floor, and there's no incentive right now for a team to spend anyway. So I think a floor would be more valuable in baseball than a cap.
Do you think the owners? I mean, this has to be a majority rule, right? I think 26 of the 30 owners have to sign off on whatever. Do you think there'll be enough owners to agree on a salary floor, right? And like, if they don't spend, then they have to forfeit draft picks. They have to forfeit international money or whatever, right? Do you think there'll be enough teams to agree upon that for a CBA?
They should, but probably not.
Because the teams that are the recipients of this stuff are probably going to be against it, I would think. What do you guys think about that? I mean,
it's unlikely that the lower teams will accept it, but I think the higher revenue teams would.
Oh yeah, because they're the ones that are being penalized.
Yeah,
for spending. They have to forfeit draft picks and international, all this stuff, revenue sharing, and the Yankees take it in the chin, the butt, and the knee. They take it in the.
You might have at least 8 owners that would agree to a floor, but I'm not sure if you have more. You have half of them.
Yeah, and I don't think there's I don't think there's a union stronger out there than the players' union. I mean, can you see something like this, NFE, actually taking place in the CBA, or being a part of contention?
I mean,
it's tough, man. It's hard.
It's hard, man. But I remember 2 years ago, I was talking with Scott Braun from Foul Territory, and he said, I mean, we talked about the salary cap, and he said he said that if there was ever a salary cap, there would be a strike. Then Major League Baseball would be obsolete, and then there would have to be a whole new league created. And I agree with him, but there does need to be a floor, man, and there needs to be some sort of rule with some of these smaller market teams and spending money, because it's like I'm tired of. And I'm talking as a baseball fan, right? Just let's take Yankees out of the equation for just a moment, but it's teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets. These guys spend a lot. The Phillies, right? They spend money, right? I'm just naming off some teams. These guys spend money during the offseason, and they get penalized for spending money, and then they have to share their revenue with other teams, and that money goes to the smaller teams, but the ownership doesn't invest that money in the team. They put that money in their pocket, and this is the frustrating part. And it's just not, if you're trying to grow the baseball community, you're trying to grow the fan base, you're trying to put, butts in seats. You gotta, how come the ownership of these smaller teams are not being held accountable? I mean,
There's
it's
nothing.
I know there's not a rule saying that they have to reinvest it, but the thing is, it's not fair that the owners that are, getting the money taken away from them. I mean, for the Dodgers, sure, it's not an issue. It's not an issue, but I'm pretty sure but still, like Guggenheim, Dodgers ownership, I'm pretty sure they don't like to just give away money. I know they're worth so much, but I'm pretty sure they hate losing money still,
And also to your point that the teams that are not doing as well, I know baseball wants to expand, but before baseball can expand, they have to try to think of how to help their less fortunate teams like Miami, for example. So what would you think about, instead of expanding a team, moving a team like Miami to Nashville?
Geographically, it can be possible, but well, let's keep this in perspective too. I mean, the other teams cease to exist without the handout, yes, but to that point, there isn't a team in baseball in 2025 that's worth less than $1 billion. Not one, right? So every team is worth at least $1 billion. So at the very least, you have to require them to spend the damn handout.
Yeah.
At the very least, that's the part. It's got to be part of the salary floor. You're giving you this free money, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. You have to invest in your damn product, in your team, right? You want salaries to keep going up, you got to pay the guys at the bottom. We can't only play the players at the top. We got to play the guys at the bottom too. It's got to be that way.
The batting average in the last two, the lowest since 1968. Well, Mark, I think the problem with batting average is teams have been too focused on home runs and not focused on contact. I for one would hope the baseball gets back to focusing on contact hitting rather than just home runs.
Mm-hmm. And Martin, to your point too, Mark, the salaries keep going up at the top, right? In the last CBA, they agreed to get the pre-arb salaries up, right? So now the minimum was like $740 or whatever it is in pre-arb, $750,
$700,
somewhere around. It's in the 700s, right? In pre-arb, it doesn't start ballooning until arbitration, right? So you have 3 years of somewhat cushion or padding for teams, right? Before salaries get obscene. I mean, at $700,000, you're making more than 99% of the people in the damn world anyway. So, let's not. Yeah, you got it, brother. Let's not cry poverty either for these teams. Like, I don't make $700,000 a year. I don't know if any of you guys do. I don't. So,
do you think the realignment will be discussed in the CBA? I mean, I don't want the Mets and the Yankees in the same division.
No, I don't either. Yeah, I think they have other important things to address first. They got to get they got to get the finances right first before realigning. If you realign, what's going to be the difference?
If there is going to be a discussion about a realignment, I personally see that within the next, maybe I'll call it like 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, but like, what was the
My
initial
prediction.
realignment? Was it the Yankees, Mets, the Red Sox, and the Phillies, right, in one division? That was the East. So you're going to tell me 3 of the 4 teams that we love to watch are not going to be in the playoffs? 3 of the big spending teams are not going to make the playoffs based on this realignment? Like,
That's one way to take away ratings.
yeah. So how does that work?
That it doesn't work. I don't think I think they should always be teamed in the same cities and up in both both leagues. I don't think the same team should have two same city should have 2 teams in the same league.
I agree. I think that's a work in progress. I think that's got to be.
Yeah, because you'll never have the Subway Series. You'll never have the whatever other nickname they call it for
The Yankees will
Chicago.
never play the Mets in the World Series either. The Yankees can never play the Mets or the Phillies in the World Series
Yeah.
if that's the case.
Didn't they call it when the Yankees played the Phillies? Didn't they call it the I-95 series?
I think so.
I think I remember that calling it the I-95 series.
And then they called it the Subway Series when they played the Mets. Like you wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
have that. So, but I think the finances, this stuff needs to be resolved before realignment happens. What's the point of realigning teams if it's not, the record profits are only being enjoyed by the people at the top, right? And not being kind of distributed fairly amongst other folks, or even there's a lot of teams in the middle who can't capitalize on this stuff because the teams at the bottom are getting handouts, not investing it, and the people in the middle don't really get much anything, right? So what happens to them? And the people at the top are taking it in the chin, in the knees, in the butt. Like, what about all the teams in the middle?
Well, that's why I also don't like the fact that signing a player can lose you 2 draft picks and international money. I think that needs to go.
I think the QO's got to go
The QO has to go.
because essentially the majority of the teams who sign players with QOs are the big spenders at the top, right?
Yeah. And I would actually get rid of the QO, get rid of any draft penalties, and allow teams to trade draft picks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, Steve, you need to call owner's bluff. I do agree. There's some posturing going on both sides. That needs to stop. Like, I hope that they can come to cooler heads can prevail and they can come to some type of compromise throughout the year and not wait until next offseason to then make it inevitable. Like, maybe it can be less inevitable at that point. David, thank you again, man, for the chance.
I like the signing for the Giants.
Yeah, he's gonna. If it's official, he's got Cam Scatterbo coming back. He's got Malik Neighbors coming back. He's gonna when they're healthy, he's got a pretty darn good team to work with.
And the Giants hurt themselves by winning the last game, though.
Yeah, I mean, when they get the number 1 and 5 pick in the draft, I would just give Jackson Dart a wide receiver to throw to.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to give Phillies problems. They're going to give Eagles problems now.
Yeah, if they lost the last game, they may have had number 2.
Yeah, well, my Jets have the number 2, so they'll blow number 2. But
Well, the Jets are going to be a scary team in 2 years. They have so many draft picks, and they can do a lot with the number 2 pick.
They need to be smart with them. I hope that they do the right things with the draft.
If I were the Jets, I would think about trading the number 2 pick for many more picks. I might even call the Giants and trade the number 2 pick.
I'll give the Giants the number 5. I mean the number 2, and I'll pick a defensive player with number 5, and then I'll pick a quarterback at 16. That's what I would do this year. You probably get an extra pick or 2. You swap 2 and 5.
The Giants would have to give up maybe a few more than just one.
Give us your two. Give us your second round pick.
Well, I'm not the GM.
Yeah, neither am I. But guys, what's the last? I mean, wrap this up because I know NFE's got to go. He's a little busy. So what's your final take on this stuff? Like, there's a lot of folks that are just outraged about stuff. Like, what do you think a sensible end to this offseason for the Yankees would be? What do you think they can do? And like, what do you think would make the majority of the fans happy that they do?
Maybe a trade for Donovan.
Make me happy, that's for sure. Why you, NFE? What would make you happy, and what do you think would make the fans happy?
I mean, if it's not going to be Bellinger, you know what? Get me if Freddie Peralta would make me happy.
Peralta
would definitely make me happy because that would solidify the rotation a little bit more. And the Yankees are loading up on pitching right now. They've been loading up on pitching.
I would like one more contact bat.
Well, if they got Peralta, make it easier to trade Warren or Hill or try to get Nico Horner here.
I would love to get Nico Horner as well. I mean, they're both rentals, but who cares? If the Yankees are a win now organization, then so be it. So, seeing some Barry Bonds, nice. But Bellinger re-signing Bellinger would be great. But at the same time, if he goes to another team that's offering him 7 years, then so be it. Let him go. But do I want Bellinger back? Yeah, I want Bellinger back, but at a reasonable deal. And I think what the Yankees have offered him have been more than fair. But the Yankees not budging, I don't blame them. And if he wants to go to another team, then like I said, so be it. But if it's not Bellinger, then I would like Horner would be great.
Yeah, Horner.
Yeah, Horner and Freddie Peralta would like make my day.
Yeah, and I agree that Bellinger's swing is probably made for Yankee Stadium, but if it's what probably it's whatever happens will happen.
I don't know what else the Yankees can do.
I don't know what else. I don't know what else the Yankees can do with Bellinger. I believe they gave him 2 offers. Very nice offers.
The second offer is 5 years, $32 million a year. It's got 2 opt-outs. It's got a big signing bonus, which is not subject to the same taxes in New York City as the salary would be. So you get a lot of upfront money at a lower tax rate, which will give them a lot of money up front in case there is a lockout. So it gets padding, right? And then the lack of deferrals means that keeps the AAV up too. So financially, that's probably the best deal he's going to get, unless the Mets do the same thing.
I think so.
Here. So I don't know what else the Yankees can do at this point.
Let me see if there's any last-minute news to talk about, but
I don't think there's anything right now. Before
I haven't had. Only the Atlanta Braves signed a pitcher from Panama.
All right.
That's it. And the Athletics signed another shortstop, but no significant news to talk about other than what you've already heard earlier in the day.
Yeah, and this is what we've heard. This is what we know right now. So, sign Bassett and Hayes, trade for Donovan or Horner, and trade for Adley Rutschman. If you can do all that, Ken, that would be kind of nuts.
I'm not sure if Rutschman will get traded.
Yeah. Can you trade for Donovan and Nico Horner and then sign Bassett instead of trading for Peralta? Because I have a feeling you'd have to use the same prospects to get Peralta than you would have to get Horner. So I'm not sure you can do both, as much as it would be awesome if you could. I'm not sure. You probably have to choose one of the trades. But Steele's want Tatis and Horner.
We're not getting Tatis regardless of what people think.
Yeah. But
Who's going to be the backup catcher?
I have a feeling. Well, for those that don't know, the Phillies brought back JT Realmuto today, 3 years, $45 million.
Yeah.
15 per. So that's a good question. And thank you for super chat again, David. My guess they're going to trade JC Escar for a bullpen arm or something like that and bring someone else that we're not thinking of to be a backup catcher. Joey Bart's an option. A lot of folks keep bringing up Joey Bart. I don't know. We'll see, guys. But if anything else comes out, you'll get it from us. Myself, NFE, Ugly Truth. You'll get it from all of us. Okay, and we appreciate all these coming on. Guys, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on either. Mitch Garver, is he even out there? Oh, my God. Concierti wants Peralta and Miller. You talking Mason Miller? Oh, my God. Mason Miller. And Jonah Heim is a free agent. This is true, too.
I'm sure there's still a bunch of guys that are free agents that you can sign for a 1-year deal.
Yeah, there's a bunch out there. Man, if you get Mason Miller, that would cost a lot, which is another reason why I'm bringing up Jeremiah Estrada from the Padres. He's a big strikeout guy. He's not as high profile as Mason Miller. But you could probably get him for Dominguez and JC Scar and maybe a pitching prospect. But Mason Miller would probably cost you Jones or Lombard, something like that. That's what Preller would ask. I know. I'm confident of that. But you can get Mason Miller without giving up those guys. GM of the year for me, Cashman. So, but I appreciate the insight from everybody. NFE, thank you for coming on. Jonathan, thank you for coming on. This was really great, and I hope you folks in the chat, picked up a little information that you found helpful today. Right? I wanted to go over this bankruptcy so you had a more in-depth idea of why the Dodgers can operate the way they do now, and no one else can. So, as people can be angry as much as they want with the Yankees, but they can't. They're not in a position to do that. So, and it doesn't make sense. Just because the Dodgers can do it doesn't mean the Yankees should. Right? Just because the Yankees can spend $50 million on a player doesn't mean they should. So, Rhys Hoskins, I don't know.
The other thing to think about to end the thing is if you keep spending all this money, eventually they're going to have to raise the price of the Yankee tickets to an unreasonable number, and then that will deter a lot of people from going to the games.
Spend wisely, that's right. Well, that's
so do you want to spend $200 for not bleacher tickets, $50 for bleacher tickets?
Yeah, which is why I think the Yankees don't want to set that new threshold level, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to have to up the prices somewhere in areas where it's just going to hurt the fan.
Yeah.
And I would rather them not be one of the biggest culprits to a lockout. Right? I would rather people not blame the Yankees. So you can call them cheap right now, but I'd rather call them cheap than call them, culprits of the damn lockout. So, but it is what it is, guys. Thank you. Guys have any final comments, anything close with before we wrap it up?
I think I mentioned most of what I had to say.
I appreciate it. Great insight, too.
I'm looking forward to pitchers and catchers in less than a month.
Yeah, less than 4 weeks. $100 beers is right. Yeah. NFE, you want to close anything? Anything you want to let everybody know where they can find you, too, brother. If anybody's not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to that guy right there.
Yeah, so name of my channel is the Strike Zone. So I appreciate anybody that does subscribe. It does mean the world to me. But Jason, thanks for having me on, man. It's been a while, bro.
Yeah, man.
It's been a hot minute. But let's just hope the Yankees can. If it's not going to be Bellinger, hopefully they make some other moves. I know it's been a very frustrating offseason, no doubt. It's been very slow moving for the Yankees, but I had a feeling this was going to be a very interesting offseason. I really did, because even because I was thinking about this and I'm like, what direction are the Yankees going to go in? Mm-hmm. Because that was because I wasn't sure what the Yankees were going to do. I think re-signing Bellinger was going to be their number one goal, but what other moves were they going to make? You know, I just, yeah, it's just, and I think they answered my question because, yeah, Bellinger was a priority, but what other moves were they going to make? And they could, like I said, they could go in a whole bunch of different direction. So, and that's exactly what's happening right now. They're exploring all their options.
And I also never wanted Bellinger to be the obstacle to the Yankees offseason. I don't think he should prevent the Yankees from improving the team. And the Yankees should always try to improve the team no matter in what they can do. If they have to trade a prospect, trade a prospect. If they have to do something else, sign a player, sign a player.
Yeah, just get Judge as much support as you can get him.
Yeah.
Get Cole as much support as you can get him. For those that don't know, before Bo Bichette signed with the Mets, the Phillies agreed to their request for 7 years, $200 million, but he didn't sign on the dotted line. The Phillies agreed to their request, then the Mets swooped in, got him for a higher AAV and a shorter deal, which allows him to get back on the market at the age of 30 to cash in again, just like the Dodgers are doing with Kyle Tucker. Both of those guys can get back on the market at the age 30 and cash in again.
And
that strikes on right there.
And Cruz, LaGrange, and Chase Hampton, I think, are the pitchers I would look out for in 2026.
Yep. With that said, have a great night, everybody. Peace and love to all these gentlemen. Thank you as always for coming on. You guys are the best. You're always welcome here.
Thank you.
And peace and love to you, gang. And if anything comes out, be on the lookout because we're going to be getting to you. Over and out. Have a great night.